Good morning and welcome to Digital Look. We have with us today Bill Hubard. He is Chief Economist at marktes.com. Bill, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Yesterday, the IMF published its annual review of the UK economy, and it was relatively positive, but it did criticize the government a little bit. On the one hand, it says that Cameron needs to put more emphasis on infrastructure spending, bring that forward. On the other hand, it says that to get credit flowing into the economy again, banks need to start to strengthen their balance sheets, either through lowering their dividend payouts or through issuance of new capital, for example. I don't hear any of that from the large banks.
Let's take the first point. I would agree. Being a bond man, the simple fact is about a couple of years ago, we had the 10-year gilt at the lowest level since 1690. That was 1690. You know what I mean? We're talking about et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The government could have come in and borrowed pocketfuls of money, okay? As I say, at the lowest rates ever to fund themselves. I don't think austerity is working, whether it be here, whether it be Spain, whether it be anyplace else. So therefore, I would agree with that. Excuse me, the simple fact is the government should have borrowed, and borrowed.
Okay.
In reference to the banks, I think the banks are doing exceptionally well. Let's look at Barclays, okay? Barclays, 13 months ago, was trading at 140p. Yesterday, it closed at 335. Also, as we've seen in the papers, we're getting very close to the break even, okay, on Lloyd's Bank. RBS is getting close, and even now in the newspaper the last 2 days, it's talking about as early as probably mid to late summer. Could they be preparing themselves to go back as being private institutions? So therefore, I think the simple fact is the banks are doing everything they can. The simple fact is, and I am an owner of Barclays, I don't care about the dividend, I don't care about the remuneration, I couldn't care less about much Joe Bloggs is being paid. All of a sudden, as I say, I've seen my stock go up 127%. So that's okay for me. Reference to dividends, I have a problem again with the lending, okay? For the simple fact is, with interest rates so low, banks can't make any money lending. And for the simple fact is, where they could make some money lending are probably going to be at institutions that would be less than credit worthy. Mortgage lending to individuals who would be less than credit worthy. So then 2, 3, 4 years from now, do we have another rock problem here? Do we have another bank saying, well, gee, look how many bad loans I've got? So the simple fact is the banks are doing the best they can at lowest interest rates almost in history.
Okay. So then perhaps, talking about RBS, talking about Lloyd's, the break even in their share price for the government, for the Treasury, your recommendation to the Prime Minister would be hold off on that, keep these investments?
Yes, I would. I mean, all we got to do is look in the States, all right? If we can remember, I think the institution is called Citibank. The U.S. Treasury bailed Citibank out. I can't give you the exact time they sold it, but they made $33 billion, you know, buying it and then selling it back when the market moved up. And as I say, one of the major movers in most of the stock indices, except for the last 24 hours, have been banks and financial institutions. So no, I would see they're getting on the right track. Don't hold it too long, but the market is moving in a positive direction for the government's ownership.
And you are certainly taking your own advice.
Of course I am.
Okay, on the macro side of things, here in the UK, on Tuesday, retail sales data, far worse than expected. The British consumer, his disposable income is being more than just a little bit pinched. What's going on? What's the outlook?
Well, I think one of the things we've seen is, even with inflation dropping to what is it now, 2.4% or something, wage increases is only 0.4%. So that is a massive difference in what you're taking home versus what you're paying out. Also, if you look at the right move, the Mortgage Association, I think we're having record pay downs, multi-billion pounds worth of homeowners paying down their mortgages, okay? For the simple fact is, interest rates will not be going up probably till the middle part of next year at the earliest. But one thing they're concerned about is the value of their home, best case scenario, and I'm talking out of London. is basically unchanged. So therefore, if their mortgages are maturing in 15, 16, or 17, there's got to be the concern about, I don't have the principal to pay back my mortgage. So you're seeing a massive pay down, and I think the last I looked was something like £4.5 billion, both in mortgage repayments and in credit card repayments. Because what we're seeing right now, because your negative savings rate, so investors are spending a lot of their disposable income paying off credit cards and mortgage debt.
Would you say that there is something going on, a shift in the psychology of the British consumer of going back to old values of if I can't afford it?
Yes, because when I came over here in 1987, I think there were like 2 credit cards, and you also had what they called hire purchase. So nobody bought televisions, they rented them and stuff like that. So I think one of the things, as you just said, maybe the best thing that we've learned over the horrific events of the past 5 years is, we have a phrase in the States, shop till you drop. Well, in yesterday's retail sales number, shop till you drop. Oh, no, we don't here in the UK.
I see. Okay. Mark Carney, incoming BOE governor. He was out on Tuesday with a speech in Montreal. He seemed to criticize the European Central Bank. He's asking for more forceful, radical measures, but also for the Bank of England, for his new tenure. Some people read into it that he might do some more quantitative easing, perhaps even also that he is still of a mind of exploring the possibility of
I think one of the
measures.
things is that he can sort of say anything he wants right now because he's sort of, I'm leaving the Bank of Canada, but I haven't joined the Bank of England. Normally those comments would be made at G6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, sort of over a glass of champagne or something, saying, hey, big guy, you could do this, that, or the other. I think those comments are important. Now, my feeling is, and I've had these feelings now since for the 4th consecutive month, poor Sir Mervyn was voted again, 6-3 about the quantitative easing. Yes. I'm expecting at least 25, maybe 50 billion more quantitative easing. I think we probably may get, looking at the data as it is right now and the unemployment picture, 25 billion in August because it's an inflation month, okay? And another 25 billion in November, another inflation month. So yes, I would see at least 25 billion more quantitative easing before the year end. And unconventional, I think he will have the mandate from the Chancellor to do whatever is necessary. But the simple fact is, I think he has to look at that he is going to be the governor of the Bank of England. Okay. Therefore, living in the UK, that's what I expect him, and that's what everybody here in the UK expects to focus on here, rather than Lower Slovenia or what's happening in Bratislava.
Okay. Looking at the backdrop, the situation he's facing, the big picture, some people are saying that you have to be a little bit worried about the situation in China, a little bit worried about the situation in Japan, a little bit worried that the ECB isn't being forceful enough, and perhaps even a little bit worried that the Fed might start tapering, which is supposedly not a concern, but markets are a little bit jittery. Is that the reason behind the need for more QE in the UK?
Well, I think the need for the more QE in the UK is we're not... The reason why it works in the States and why it's working over here, the consumer, as you just said with retail sales, the consumer's not spending. Well, somebody has to spend. And I know this may sound, oh, my goodness, what a radical he is. We need globally, not runaway inflation, but we need 3, 4, 5% inflation, okay? Because the simple fact is, if you know you can buy anything at the same price or lower tomorrow or 6 months from now, you're going to keep your hand in your pocket. But the simple fact is, if you're looking at a house and all of a sudden you're now seeing the selling price going up and up and up, then you're going to jump in and you're going to buy it right now. And by doing that, then that helps the reciprocal industries. But so as you say, but as you just said, people are not spending. And I mean, I'm talking about basic goods. I'm not talking about buying champagne and caviar and 250,000-pound automobiles, okay? They're not spending on anything.
So the situation is basically still very much worth watching with certainty.
Yes, and as I say, I would expect, again, when Chili Con Carney comes in on the 1st of July, to implement as I say, quantitative easing, probably in August, if not August, definitely in November. But I think that is something that he will be working on domestically, okay? Whatever the ECB does, and I don't think there's anybody out there, and I'm a member of that, they're slightly behind the 8 ball. I expect another 25 basis points from them sometime this year.
Okay, fantastic. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today, but we do hope you'll join us again.
I'll be delighted to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bill. And that's all from us here at Digital Look in London. Thank you for joining us.